Welcome everyone, bonjour à toutes et à tous. On est vraiment heureux de pouvoir vous accueillir pour la 7e édition de Maine. C'est Maine 2024. It's our pleasure to welcome you all here. As you can see, we're in a new setting this time. Last time we were in Campus 1000. This time we went for something a little bit more retro, 70s, 80s style. Hope you all feel comfortable. Very briefly, as you probably all know, we have the program this year. We have 3 days of conferences, lectures starting today all the way until Thursday evening. And then on Friday, we have the educational session. So I'd like to first start with an Indigenous land acknowledgement. I want to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional and unceded territory of the Kanyankehaka, the Mohawk, a place which has long served as a site of meeting and exchange amongst nations. I also want to point out that land acknowledgements are an invitation to respectfully engage with and learn from Indigenous communities throughout the year, not just at the opening of public events like this. So let's keep this in mind through the rest of the year and in between events also, that this is something important to integrate in our practices. I want to acknowledge also that this has been a difficult year for many of us, for humanity. Solidarity with the innocent civilians, including fellow academics and students worldwide who face discrimination, who live under oppression or the constant threat of war and displacement, is something we should all be concerned about. And I think for all of us here as privileged neuro-AI scientists, it is our responsibility to collectively reflect on how to mobilize our knowledge and our research networks to try to, as much as possible, minimize harm. And that also means the harm that is caused by some of the technologies that we as scientists and AI researchers may develop, but also to advance human rights and foster a safer and a more just and equitable global society. Okay, with that, I'd like to welcome you officially to the 7th annual Montreal AI and Neuroscience meeting. We are super excited to have more than 340 people registered in person. This is a feat. We chose this time not to have a hybrid. We will have most of the talks will be available on YouTube online afterwards, but during the event we wanted to maximize an in-person event to increase collaboration and interactions and make sure that people actually show up in person to this meeting. We have 6 keynote lectures this year, 17 lectures, 3 panel discussions. We also had 3 introductory didactic lectures at the beginning of each day. We have 2 lightning talk sessions. These are talks by students and postdocs. And we have 58 posters. And most of you here know that the announcement for the posters, the call for the posters came really late. And everything was done more or less last minute. So given that, I think the fact that we did have 58 accepted posters is really fantastic. You can see here our keynote speakers for this year, Terry Sejnowski, who let us know about a week ago that unfortunately he will be able to join us only on Zoom. So Terry was going to be online with us at midday, but all the other talks in this meeting are going to be all in person here in Montreal. We have Eva Dyer, Luis Pessoa, who's also here, I saw this morning, Doina Prekop, Carlos Ponce, and Laura Driscoll. We have 3 didactic intro lectures. So the beginning of each day, today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, we start with a 45-minute session that dives into a specific topic to give you a broader perspective and an overview before we go into more focused lectures. So we're pleased to have Elizabeth Dupré with us here, Alessandro Gifford, and Patrick Minot for day 1, 2, and 3, respectively. The panels and the discussions is something most of you in the previous main meetings have always been looking forward to. This year we had 3 exciting topics. Today at midday we'll be talking about the question of whether better AI actually means more human-like AI, or maybe not, with Yoshua Benjo, Tegan Maharaj, Paul Shizek, and Irina Risch. Tomorrow our panel is about the notion of emergence of reasoning in brains and machines with Taylor Webb, Doina Prekop, Eva Portlance, and Ovi Parker-Jones. And on Thursday the panel is about addressing the question of whether foundation models for neuroscience is the next big thing, or is it just too much hype and not going to work? So we're looking for an interesting debate there with Eva Dyer, Blake Richards, Patrick Minot, and Smita Krishnaswamy. Just a quick breakdown of who has signed up, so who you are here in the room, 47, so around half of you are master's and PhD students. 13% postdocs. Super excited to have 15% undergrads. We decided this year to provide a cheaper access for undergraduate students, and we're happy that 15% here are undergraduate students. Hopefully we'll be able to attract you to the neuro AI field. 8% other. Try to meet them, find out who these others are. And then 18% of PIs and professors. This is the organizing committee that has been working on this, and we are super excited to have a logistics dream team made up primarily of students, including students from the SAC, the Student Affairs Committee of the Unique Center. I won't name all of them, but we'll get back to them on Thursday again. So as you can see, we are very lucky to have all these people who have been working hard with us over the last weeks, but also will be helping and supporting during these next 4 days. Main educational is an important highlight of the main meetings. We also want to make sure that we're teaching tools and providing knowledge about concepts for people who are less familiar maybe with some neuroscience aspect, or alternatively familiar with neuroscience but less so about the AI aspects. This is the main educational organizers here, and just to give you an overview of some of the topics that will be discussed on Friday. Supervised learning using scikit-learn, this is with Jean-Baptiste Pauline. We have model selection and validation using scikit-learn, this is with Nihil Bhagwat. Machine learning in functional MRI using NiLearn with Himanshu Agarwal and Haoting Wang. We have training machine learning models on MEG data using MNE Python with Annalisa Pascarella and Vanessa Hadid. Also experimentation on in silico neural responses from encoding models, Alessandro or Ale Gifford, and understanding representational similarity analysis by Hamza Abdelhedi, brain decoding by Pierre Herholtz and Pierre-Louis Barbaran. And finally, and last but not least, Melanie Segado will be also telling us about modeling high-level movement with foundational models. Obviously, some of these sessions are going to be in parallel, so this is not all going to fit in one day back-to-back. So they're going to be parallel sessions, and you can choose which ones you want to be in. And the good news, there are still a few spots available, so you can still sign up today. As you know, signing up for this is separate from the 3 days of the conferences. So you can still sign up for it. There are still a few slots available. Keep an eye on our website, because if there's anything important or changes, we will be posting it on the website. You can also post or browse the Neuro AI positions on the main 2024 job board. So I don't think there's much in there for now, but I encourage all PIs who have opportunities in their labs to post their positions so that people during the meeting can check them and maybe also come up to you and discuss potential opportunities. We have a code of conduct. Maine is committed to hosting this conference in a safe, inclusive, and welcoming environment for everyone. Please be considerate, respectful, and collaborative in speaking and listening. And any discrimination and intolerance, harassment, or aggression will absolutely not be tolerated. We have our code of conduct, which is on our website, so I encourage you to check it out. Yes, we have our Angry Panda as every year, so this is a warning to speakers. If you go over time, there might be an Angry Panda that's going to show up at some point and tell you off. So try to stick to your schedule and be on time. Maine would like to thank the Fonds de Recherche Nature et Technologie FRQNT Québec for its generous support that has been funding the Unique Center since 2019. We are also grateful to Ivado's continued support, but also support from Abundant Intelligences, the NFRF initiative, support from Cerebrum, Université de Montréal, and obviously the Unique Center. I would also like to thank Chantal Simard and Josefina Rossel, who have been doing fantastic work helping us put this together. A quick note to say that on Thursday we have our Neuro AI Creative Party Night that's happening at the Café SAT. That's at the SAT, la Société des Arts Technologiques, downtown in Montreal. We will provide more information about this. Also at midday today, we hopefully will be trying to take a group photo. So we'll let you know about that, and we might be able to do it outside on the stairs. Otherwise, it's going to be at the Hall d'Honneur, where the food will be served. Okay, I try to be as fast as possible. Now it's my pleasure to invite to the stage our guests of honor. So first of all, it's going to be Dr. Frédéric Bouchard, who is the Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences of the Université de Montréal. So please join me in welcoming Frédéric to the stage.
Bonjour, bienvenue à l'Université de Montréal. Écoutez, je vais parler lentement en français pour que vous puissiez pratiquer les cours de français d'immersion ou d'école secondaire que vous avez eus. Donc, le début, je parlerai en français. Dans la deuxième partie, je parlerai en anglais, je dirai quelques mots, non pas à titre de doyen, mais à titre de professeur de philosophie des sciences, pour exprimer un souhait pour votre journée d'aujourd'hui. Donc, d'abord, je veux vous remercier, en fait, de la générosité de votre curiosité. Donc, vous êtes très curieux, vous travaillez avec des communautés scientifiques avec lesquelles vous n'avez pas nécessairement d'expérience de collaborer. Et j'ai vu Maine, donc là, on parle de la 7e édition, et à travers les années, on voit que, je dirais, cette générosité-là a créé des collaborations qui, franchement, étaient même inconcevables il y a 5 ans. D'accord? Donc, continuer cette générosité de curiosité, c'est très difficile pour moi de parler si lentement, et surtout en contraste à Karim, qui était à un très... son RPM était très élevé. Donc là, je me fais violence ici. Donc, votre curiosité et votre générosité permettent de mettre en place des projets de recherche qui étaient inconcevables il y a même 5 ans. Et à chaque fois que vous avez, disons, un étudiant qui vient vous voir d'une autre discipline, je vous demande de montrer cette générosité-là dans le temps. Je vais donner un exemple en anglais dans un instant, mais auparavant, Karim a remercié avec raison les étudiants et les membres du personnel qui ont aidé et qui vont aider à l'organisation de cette semaine. Je tiens à offrir mes remerciements et mes félicitations au comité organisateur, Shahab Bakhtiari, Pierre-Lune Bellec, Andrea Green, Karim Jerbi, Guillaume Lajoie, Flavie Lavoie-Cardinal, Jean-Marc Lina, Bratislav Mizik, Doina Prekop, Blake Richards et Irina Rich. Donc, merci à ce comité pour le travail qu'ils ont fait. Je veux souligner qu'on a parlé d'UNIC, le centre unique, on a mentionné Cérébrum, les chercheurs en neurosciences du département psychologie. Il y a bien sûr IVADO, qui regroupe les forces vives en IA à travers le Québec. Il y a bien sûr le MILA, le fer de lance en machine learning. Je mentionne qu'il y a 3 chaires philanthropiques en neurosciences computationnelles ou neurosciences IA au département de psychologie, en plus des autres chaires au département d'informatique et recherche opérationnelle. Pour le dire rapidement, là, je parle vraiment dans les sujets de Maine. La Faculté des arts et des sciences, en plus des grandes subventions de recherche et des autres soutiens, je tiens à mentionner qu'on a obtenu au cours des années environ 20 millions de dollars de la Fondation Courtois pour soutenir la recherche portant sur les enjeux de Maine. Et donc, merci à la Fondation Courtois pour son soutien de la recherche dans ce secteur. So let me end with a few words as a philosopher of science, and why it's important to maintain that generous curiosity moving forward, because it is a challenge. So in some sense, at the first phase of the development of a field, there's just curiosity and the need to find colleagues that can help us answer new challenges, right? So that's kind of the initial curiosity. And then it's easy to be generous in some respects because we're all needing somebody else's tools, right? The challenge you have now is that, I mean, it's still early, right? But as soon as you start structuring a field, it's easy to become conservative in the terms of expertise that you're going to involve in your research, right? When you're structuring a scientific field, in some sense, it's becoming rigid. So it's good, right? Because then you recognize the colleagues, you recognize the journals, you recognize the conferences, and you can accumulate knowledge in a directional fashion, right? But the loss is that you lose some of the openness that you had at the beginning of the field. And so there's no specific recipe for this, but I invite you to always try to remember the first conversations you had with somebody in another field that led you to some advance or a breakthrough, and keep that openness and not, fight the rigidity that scientific fields, in some sense, generate. And for good reasons, because that's how we accumulate knowledge. But the incredible cost is that we lose the generous curiosity that made the initial field possible. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You're still early, but very soon, you don't want to become the conservative researchers that you bemoaned a few years ago. Okay, so try to keep that openness. I'm going to give one example. So I did my BA and MA. I may have told this last year. If so, I apologize. But most of you weren't there or weren't listening, so it doesn't matter. So I did my BA and MA in philosophy at Université Montréal. Then I did my PhD at Duke. I wanted to work in the philosophy of consciousness. I kind of swerved towards philosophy of evolutionary biology. But when I was doing my studies here, I was a philosophy student. I had a CGEP in natural sciences. So I had my math, my physics, my chemistry, my biology, right? And I really wanted to take a class in cellular neurobiology. There was this course in the Faculty of Medicine that just seemed really neat. I really wanted to take it. And the philosophy department, this was many years ago, but the philosophy department said no. The Faculty of Arts and Sciences said no. The professor said no. The Faculty of Medicine said no. Everybody said no. And frankly, the reasons were all kind of silly, right? Well, no, this is a class for this group. You can't, no, this is not in your program. Like there were all these kind of semi-rational reasons, reasonable reasons, but you had a motivated students that had the background to pursue a class and basically didn't want to cause trouble, just wanted to expand his horizons, right? So, if to all the students out there. So what I did is I went to see the department secretary in the Department of Neuroscience in the Faculty of Medicine, and I begged her to enroll me. So I disregarded what the prof said. I disregarded what the two faculties said. I disregarded everyone. But I went to beg the secretary to enroll me and said, I'm just going to be in the back of the class. I won't disturb anyone. And she enrolled me, right? So she gave me a chance. So the secretary in a department enrolled me in that class. I got a B+, like I got a decent grade, not the best grade in the class. I had a blast. And it helped me throughout my career, right? So I ask all the profs here, or the lecturers here, or the future profs, when you have this random student, right? Of course, I'm not telling you to allow everyone and anyone, right? Because there's some constraints on how to give a good class. But keep the generous curiosity that has made Maine possible and allow a student, maybe it's a student in the Faculty of Music, maybe it's a student in philosophy, in art history, in chemistry, and in some sense, just make a bet. It's a reasonable gamble on the curiosity of the next generation, right? And just try to keep at bay the rigidity of that when scientific fields start try to look established, okay? And so if you do that, I can guarantee you that in 10 years, you're gonna have somebody who will come up and say, this prof has given me a chance. You don't wanna be the prof. I won't give the name of the prof that said no, but I remember his name. And actually, when I showed up in his class, I lied. Again, this is not advice. But what the prof said, it was a big class, not as big as this one, but he said, who are you? Like, yeah, well, I'm in the philosophy department. And why are you here? And I just said, no, you allowed me to be here. And he just, okay. And he just kind of let it go, kind of a bit befuddled. But I remember his name. And frankly, he's not a bad person, but I remember him as a rigid person, right? Don't be that future rigid person. Allow the philosopher in, allow the chemist in, allow the psychologist, the computer scientist in your philosophy class. And I can guarantee you, it may add a bit of hot sauce to your recipe, right? Your class may go a bit different, but I can guarantee you that it'll be better. Same for your research teams. If each of your labs, you made a gamble and hired one person, right? Maybe it's just for a summer. But if you hire one student that's not in kind of an expected field, I can guarantee you that it will add something to your research team. And to end, because I've already spoken too long, but this is an important message, and hopefully by me saying this, there's one or two students that will be allowed in one or the other class, and the world will be better for it. I just want to add with one hope. So when you look outside of this conference hall, right, the world is a messy and scary place, okay? And we all feel it. And, sometimes it's discouraging, or sometimes you just want to cut off. I just want to say what you do is really important, right, for the betterment of humankind. Because when you do, whether it's basic research or applied research, ultimately, by contributing knowledge and wonder, you're giving reasonable hope for human beings. Right? So, and this is really important. Never apologize for what you're doing, or never try to rationalize it too much. Just by offering knowledge and wonder, right, to some human beings, you're telling them that there's reasonable hope in the future. Okay? And so just never apologize or over-rationalize the importance of what you're doing. I'm telling you what you're doing, and I'm a philosopher, so this is in my official duties that I'm telling you this, but you're helping other human beings find some meaning, some understanding in the universe. That's huge. And just by doing that, you're helping build the foundations for some reasonable hope that if we work together, we can create a better future. Okay? So no pressure, but over the next few days, you better generate a lot of knowledge, share it with, boundless generosity, and, enjoy the wonder that it generates in your soul. So have a good meeting, and bienvenue à l'Université Montréal.
Un grand merci, Frédéric. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Jennie Young, who is the Executive Director of the Canadian Brain Research Strategy. So please join me in welcoming Jennie to the stage.
Thank you. Can you all hear me? I'm so short, even in my 4-inch heels. So thank you all for being here today. I'm really thrilled to be talking to you about the future of brain research. I'm going to use my notes so that I hopefully won't ramble at you. So I'm really thrilled to talk to you about the future of brain research, but more importantly, the role that you play in the future of brain research in Canada. As experts in neuro AI, you know that this field stands at the intersection of two transformative areas, neuroscience and artificial intelligence. And right now, both of these fields are on the cusp of a new era of discovery. And as AI is helping us to decode the brain in ways that we never thought was possible before, breakthroughs in neuroscience is going to continue to drive advanced AI models. And so neuro AI lies at the heart of this virtuous cycle, each pushing the other one forward towards unprecedented innovation and discovery. So Canada's already made significant investments in AI. And Canada's already made significant investments in AI, with 567 million through the Pan-Canadian AI strategy, and billions more in infrastructure that was announced in the last federal budget. Now imagine what we could achieve if we had similar funding support for brain research, not just for our research capabilities, but for real-world impact in brain science, AI, and beyond. So to ensure that brain research, and neuro AI in particular, can thrive, we need a coordinated approach. And that's where the National Strategy for Brain and Mental Health Research comes in. So it's a roadmap to guide government investment in a brain initiative for Canada, built on collaboration, transdisciplinarity, and open science. It's a strategy that's shaped by early career researchers who know that we have to think outside of the usual funding models in Canada. As you can see, neuro AI is a pillar of our strategy, both as a means to advance our understanding of the brain and as an integrative framework for open transdisciplinary collaboration. We're asking federal investment for long-term, flexible funding that's not tied to specific grants, but rather aimed at sustaining collaborative networks, building shared infrastructure, developing open, data-driven platforms. And especially in a field like AI, this means being able, in neuro AI, this means being able to hire research personnel, data scientists, engineers, bioinformaticians, highly skilled technical positions that align with the government's goal of creating jobs, and they just don't realize this. So whereas the Pan-Canadian AI strategy connected our 3 major AI centers in Canada, our strategy is aiming bigger. What we want to do is to bring together the research efforts of 40 neuroscience and mental health research institutes across the country. We're asking for federal investment of $150 million over 3 years in Budget 2025 to kick off our BRAIN initiative. And right now, I know we're facing a critical challenge. The funding landscape for brain research is not sustainable. And we know that for fields like neuro AI in particular, grant proposals often fall between the jurisdictions of the federal funding agencies. And many of you have already experienced the impact of shrinking research budgets and the limits of short-term grants. But the good news is that we're not alone. Behind the strategy is not just the directors of all these academic institutions, but all of these organizations, health charities, and patient advocacy groups, and research funders, industry partners who've all contributed to building our strategy. When I testified in front of the Parliament Science and Research Committee last year on what Canada's next moonshot would look like, and of course I advocated for a moonshot in brain research, we rallied 15 other organizations to submit policy briefs to support a brain research initiative for Canada. So out of 28 briefs in this study, including topics like space exploration and clean energy, 16 were focused on brain research. So while the research environment is challenging, we've never had this level of support and collaboration across different sectors before. And to make this vision a reality, we need your help. As experts in neuro AI, your voice carries weight, not just as scientists with unique personal stories to share, but in a field that sparks the imagination of government officials and raises the concerns over a potential loss of talent in a really critical field. And so your story is important. And I know that this is an international conference, so especially if you worked in Canada and then left, we definitely want to hear from you. Or if you're from another country and you want to collaborate and use our data in the future. Every voice counts. So I'm inviting you to stand with us to advocate for sustained investment in brain research. This could mean signing letters of support, writing to your MP, or engaging in discussions with policymakers. And as a recovering academic, I know we're not trained in this, but we are here to support you through every step of the way. So use this QR code on the slide to learn more about the strategy and join our advocacy efforts. The future of brain research in Canada depends on us and on our ability to make sure that future is fully supported. So let's make it happen. Thank you.